I'm doing another one of these pretty soon after the last one, but I don't think that's much of a problem, is it? So, we're going to continue with Dreadnought Chapter 13. Hold on. Mandatory ritual. Done. My final period is study hall, but I sign out from the classroom to take it in the library instead, and then leave school early. It'll probably get caught and counted as an absence, and there's a real chance I'll catch Saturday school for this, but I don't have much of a choice. My supersuit is banged up from last night, mostly in the boots, which were almost scraped apart against the airport tarmac, and I need to see about getting some repairs. The heels are barely hanging on, and the soles have been rubbed away so much they look like sediment layers in rock formations. New ones might be pretty expensive, so my first crack at replacing them is going to see if I can get more from the Legion. The problem is that I'm grounded more or less forever now, so if I'm going to be somewhere that's not school or home, I have to do it in a way that my parents won't hear about it. Flying makes that easier, but I still want to finish this up before they expect me home. I get lucky with the city bus and manage to get home in just a few minutes. After taking a quick look around to make sure nobody is nearby, I risk a super speed dash down the alley and fly up to my bedroom window. Just a minute or two later, I've got the suit on and am leaving, going straight up just under the speed of sound. Today's drizzle, when encountered at such a speed, is like getting hit in the face with thousands of tiny grains of sand. Not painful, but annoying, so I get up and over the cloud layer as quickly as possible. Once the clouds are usually nice and low, I nose over and boost for Legion Tower at a shade under 750 miles an hour, making the 5-mile trip in a bit under 30 seconds. Legion Tower has spotlights walking back and forth across the sky from its apex 24 hours a day, every day. From above, I realize that's so flying heroes can find it even when the clouds are thick over the city. When I see the spotlights tracing figure eights through the gauzy mist, I slow down and drop back down below the clouds to make my final approach. The Art Deco arches and gleaming metal lines of Legion Tower seem somehow less stern and imposing during the drab, wet twilight. When I bank around and come at the landing balcony at a slow and easy glide, I get one of those moments of surreality that keep popping up. I'm dropping in unannounced on the Legion Pacifica, and that doesn't seem completely insane to me anymore. When I sit down, I try not to be too obvious that my side is still tender and painful. Even though most of the other pains vanished a little more than a bit of morning stiffness, I still don't have a full range of motion back. But, you know, I look real good for someone who had an airliner dropped on her. The thick glass doors open as I approach, and an elevator is waiting for me. As I step inside, an intercom clicks on. It's Doc Impossible. Hey, Danny, we're on the common level. That's 37. Come on down. When you say we, who are you referring to? No freaking way I'm going to talk to Great Witch today. Or, hopefully, ever again. In fact, maybe I can get a replacement boot somewhere else. Me and Valkyra, she says. I hit the button for 37 so fast that if I were baseline, I'd have broken my finger. The elevator opens on the same floor where the disastrous meeting happens. What, only 3 days ago? But instead of heading left to the main briefing room, with its giant floating globe and walls dominated by 3D projection screens, I head down the hall to the right, where I find an impressive kitchen, dining room, and a few different lounges. The countertops are thick slabs of polished granite. There's soft track lighting everywhere, and those same floor-to-ceiling windows offer an amazing view of downtown. Doc Impossible and Valkyra are seated on stools at a little island counter in the kitchen. Impossible has an ashtray she's working on filling between drinks in a black ceramic mug. Valkyra isn't wearing her armor, which I guess makes sense around the house, but it still seems weird to see her in nothing more than a simple wool tunic and some leather breeches. The wings she keeps tightly folded against her back are a little trippy, too. "What's up, Danny?" says Doc Impossible. "Well met, young champion," says Valkyra. Hi," I say, and then pull my cowl back because it feels indescribably weird to be having a conversation with people who know my real name while I wear a mask. "You want some cocoa? Mugs are over there." Doc Impossible gestures to some cabinets along the kitchen wall. I fill one from a hot chocolate and cappuccino dispenser, and then I'm sitting and having hot chocolate with a pair of freaking superheroes like it's something I do all the time. "That was superb work with the jet, by the way," says Doc Impossible. Valkyra nods. "A mighty feat." People don't pop from pride, which is the only reason why I don't. My cheeks are blushing so hard I imagine I can feel the blood in them, and I hide my enormous grin behind a sip of cocoa. The boots don't matter. The boots aren't why I'm here. Nobody else in the world can understand what I did last night, or how I feel about it, and I suddenly understand how desperately I need to talk about this. There's just so much here, so many feelings to untangle that I can't process it alone. "Thanks. You're not mad I did it in throwaway colors?" "Lives are at stake, kiddo. We don't frown on saving people, no matter what rules get bent." "It was well done," says Valkyra. "Perhaps your next rescue need not be under a temporary flag." Doc Impossible sets down her mug. "She's 15, Val." "As was I, when I first picked up a sword." "This is the 21st century," snaps Doc. "We don't do that to children anymore." Um, do I get a vote?" I ask. "It's not a vote, it's your choice. You get to make it unilaterally," says Doc Impossible. Then she looks at Valkyra and says, "But I still think you're a little young to getting pressured into it." There is no pressure. If the call comes to her, she will answer when she is ready. Valkyra looks at me. "But you may be ready before your 18th name day." A giddy, almost dizzy feeling floats through me. Do I want my own colors? Am I ready to be a real cape? I open my mouth, and what comes out is, um, I guess. Oh, so articulate. A little icy spike of embarrassment cuts through my good mood. Dad likes to say that unless I can speak well, I should shut up. Valkyra seems to sense how awkward I feel trying to answer that question. "Tell us of the rescue," she says. There is no hiding the grin now, so I take them through it, from floating in the air, although all I say is I was practicing flying, to when I saw the engine explode. I tell them about how I pushed the nose up and helped the plane start climbing again, and how the wing broke and how I had to carry the entire airliner. I tell them about getting the nose back up a second time, and then how I wasn't strong enough to lift the plane, so I and here I get a little confused about how to explain it. Uh, I guess it's like I could see the momentum and I sorta tugged it in another direction, I say. Does that make sense? Doc Impossible and Valkyra trade a look of confusion. I confess it does not, says Valkyra. Okay, how to put this? I guess I can sort of see what's, well, not see. I have this sense of a lattice that seems to be behind and under reality. Did Dreadnought ever talk about his powers or say something like that? Not that I recall, says Doc Impossible. He kept his powers pretty close to the vest to prevent his enemies from learning his limits. I believe he mentioned the mesh once. Valkyra sets her mug down and looks at me with enough interest that I'm a little uncomfortable. Not like she's being rude or anything. In fact, it's still a little amazing to be talking to her, and more amazing that she cares what I have to say. It's just that I still have that poster of her up in my room, and suddenly that feels strange. Is that what you refer to? Um, maybe. It's like if you can imagine the world as a big net of light and heat, and everything in it is in a tangle. I can sort of sense that out, and I guess I can tug on the strings too. It's painful, though. I hurt myself a little doing it, to be honest. Doc Impossible sits up straighter. Does it still hurt? A bit, yeah. She looks at her mug for a moment and then says, "Would you mind if I examined you? Dreadnought never showed an ability to redirect momentum, and now you say you've done that, but you injured yourself while doing it. A big danger in metahuman medicine is we don't always understand our own bodies, and sometimes by the time we figure them out, it's too late to fix a serious problem. I would feel a lot better if I had a look inside of you to make sure that nothing was wrong." "Oh, gee, I don't know. Does Great Witch really need to know about this?" The dripping sarcasm is out of my mouth before I have a chance to think about it, and when Doc Impossible tenses and her cheeks go a little pink, I almost regret it. Almost. I suppose I deserve that. Still, I'm concerned something we don't understand might be happening to you. You really, really need to get looked at, if not by me, then by your own doctor. Which, obviously, isn't going to be an option. "Hey, Doc, I've got this big, horrible bruise I can't tell you much about. Please don't tell my parents I was here, and no, I won't tell you how I got it." "Yeah, that'll fly." "Look, it's already a little better," I say. "It'll be fine in a week or so." Valkyra sets her hand on mine. "Go with her, Danny." Awkwardly, because of course I'm awkward all of a sudden, I scoot my stool back. Doc Impossible follows, and oh God, I actually turn around and wave at Valkyra like I'm leaving the building and please somebody kill me now. The elevator ride is long and starting to get a little strained. Doc Impossible takes a drag on her cigarette. She likes men. Can one of my superpowers please be melting through the floor, disappearing forever, and having everyone who ever met me forget I exist? Please? But I'm supposed to be an invincible badass now, so all I say is, "That's disappointing." Doc Impossible blows a line of smoke over her shoulder. "Tell me about it." The laugh takes me by surprise. I don't want to be laughing with her. I don't want to be warming up to her again. But it happens, and it feels good to laugh. It feels good to know I'm not the only girl who feels her chest get tight when Valkyra walks in the room. "I'm happy for you," Doc says. "The first rescue is always the sweetest. I'm glad yours got to be a good one." "A good one?" "No fatalities. Sometimes rescue work is mostly about sifting through the corpses." "Oh." We get to her lab, and I wait for her to swap cigarettes for a nicotine gum before we go through the airlock again. Into the tube I go. The sensor ring drops and does a quick pass across my body. The bruise is still there, and the center has turned a little black, but the outer edges are starting to fade to green and disappear. From outside the tube, I hear a sharp bark of surprise, and then a stream of what might be, okay, what current certainly is, profanity of notable creativity and enthusiasm. What is it?" The intercom clicks on. "Dana, you broke 3 of your ribs." "Oh." Somehow I would have expected that to be a lot more painful. They've set themselves, which is amazing, by the way. Most people's bodies don't do that. And on anyone else, I'd say they'd be about a week into healing, but even that is a little slower than how Dreadnought normally healed. Uh, but that's not the freaky part, says Doc Impossible. Your ribs were broken from the inside. It means the bones themselves. They exploded. You've got scars consistent with bone shard perforations in your liver, stomach, spleen, and kidney. Oh, that's new. How did it happen? Doc Impossible is quiet for a moment, and the sensor ring goes crazy, jumping up and down, twirling, spraying me with 10 different colors of light before it settles again. I don't know. Maybe this has something to do with how long your transformation took. What I can say is that if you were anyone else, you'd be dead. Whatever you did,